Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We're going to be talking about caramel sundaes, oat milk, and pistachio. Now, unfortunately, this is a fragrance that is not going to be available in the May restock. And honestly, I'm not sure if this candle will be back for any of the fall restock candles that will be coming out within the next couple of months. However, I am burning this candle today. I have been burning it for a little while, and I figured, you know what, it would be a good idea to get a post burn candle review up for this fragrance just in case it does ever pop up. One of the things that I'm trying to get a little bit better about is making sure that I have full reviews of all of the candles that come into my collection, so that way if that people ever are able to get their hands on them again, there are some reviews out there. So this is one of the 4-wick 40-ounce vessels that Caramel Sundaes offers. They are going to start pouring more of this size vessel, which really, really excites me. Now, this size retails for $64.99. That does include the shipping cost. If you are signed up for their rewards program, then oftentimes you can accumulate points based off of the dollar amount that you spend, and then you can redeem it for a coupon up to 15% off, which is what I typically like to do. But yeah, I think that this one might have been available at some point in a 3-wick, which has now been discontinued. I believe that they are going to stick to the 2-wick formats as well as this 4-wick 40-ounce vessel. Let's go ahead and talk about the fragrance notes on this candle. So the fragrance notes are top notes of warm vanilla oat milk, mid notes of creamy pistachio and almond, base note of brown sugar and crumbled cinnamon. Now, I don't have an exact pour date on this candle. However, I did purchase this in the March 2025 restock. So I'm thinking that this candle was likely poured somewhere between early to mid-March of 2025. These candles are all hand poured. They are 100% soy wax. They are a clean, non-toxic fragrance brand, which makes me feel pretty good because I have 3 kids, a husband, and a cat in my household. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this fragrance. I have made it no secret that pistachio, my heart belongs to the Caramel Sundaes take on pistachio. I am somebody who has always really loved pistachio fragrances to begin with, but when I discovered Caramel Sundaes last year, I was like, oh, I really, really love the way that this brand, their note of pistachio just really is above and beyond everybody else, in my opinion. The first taste of their pistachio fragrance that I got was in, I believe it was called their cranberry pistachio fragrance last fall, or pistachio cranberry. It's one of those two. And I'm going to tell you, if you like that pistachio note in that fragrance, it is the exact same pistachio note in this fragrance. However, I am going to say that for me personally, this has probably been my favorite of the pistachio fragrances that I have tried from the brand. And so far, I've tried the cranberry pistachio, I think it was called the berry pistachio cream. I did like that one, but that one had more berry in it. And I tried was it pistachio pecan pudding? I think that was the name of it. I hope that they bring that one back for fall, but that one had more of a pecan note in there that stood out a little bit more than the pistachio. This to me is just perfect. It's almost like a pistachio ice cream. So don't let the oat milk scare you off. I did talk to somebody who was like, I don't know about this one because I don't like oat milk. And then I think he kind of regretted not purchasing this candle. So what my nose detects is definitely that creamy pistachio note in the mid note. But there is a little bit of nuttiness from almond. You get sweetness from brown sugar. And when they say crumbled cinnamon, I don't really get like a super spicy cinnamon type of note in here, but there is a little bit of warmth, I would say, added to this candle. And that is most likely coming from that cinnamon note. Like I said, the brown sugar, the cinnamon together, they blend really nicely in here, but they know their place in this fragrance profile. They're not overtaking the pistachio note. They're not overtaking the kind of like vanilla creaminess that's going on. This is just done very, very well. Now, this is a fragrance that I personally could see myself as a seasonal burning most often, probably like in the months of January and February. But if you are not a seasonal burner, I could actually also see this fragrance pairing nicely with maybe some fall fragrances. If you have maybe like some pecan-based fragrances fragrances, or maybe some other like a pumpkin waffle type of scent or something, I do feel like this would pair nicely with that. But it's pretty versatile, I would say. But to me, because there's a warmth to it, I do just see myself primarily wanting to burn this more so in the months of January and February. I have had this candle lit for about 4 hours now today. And I mentioned in the pistachio gelato review that I did yesterday from Kringle that the reason why I'm actually kind of focusing on these reviews this week is because we are having a cold front come through here in Arizona. We have a high of about 64 degrees today, which is very unusual for early May. Don't worry, you guys. By the end of by the end of this week, the weather will not be drunk anymore, and it will be near 100 degrees because we are approaching summer in Arizona. So I'm definitely soaking in these colder days. We have one more day of rain, I believe, before the temperatures will go back up. But anyways, on cold days like this, I do tend to like to burn more like warm, cozy gourmands. And today it just totally fit the bill. Let's go ahead and talk about the performance of this candle. So you can see right there, nice, deep, clean, even burning wax pool. I did have this candle burning for about 4 hours, and then I did trim the wicks and relight. That is something that I do with a lot of my caramel sundaes candles because they do develop a little bit of carbon at the end. I will say that I don't really notice any kind of excessive sooting. I don't notice any sooting at all accumulating because these vessels are like just, they're even all the way down. On their two wicks, sometimes I get soot on the very, very last burn of their candles because the vessels on the two wicks kind of do that like indentation where they go in and up. And those by design are meant to catch a little bit of soot. But on this vessel, I don't have any issues. And I've had a couple of these 4-wick 40-ounce vessels. Now, my bakery on Main burned cleanly all the way down, and I anticipate this one doing the same thing. So no issues with the burn. I did lift it up. You can see even like, look how clean that wax pool is. There's just a tiny little bit of wick residue over there to the top right, but even then it's not affecting the fragrance at all on this candle. This is one of those candles that I will tell you, caramel sundaes, one of the things that I do find with it's oddly enough, I find it with all of their candles, but even more so, it's kind of funny. I find it with their 4 wicks. Sometimes their 4 wicks take me about 2.5 burns before they really, really start coming to life. So I do always want to let you guys know, should it be that way? I mean, we can argue about that. I do think that that's probably a quirk of soy wax because sometimes I find that also to be true with Kringle Candles formula, and they are a 100% soy wax brand. But I will tell you, after about 2.5 burns, this 4-wick format seems to be the way to go in my house, especially for the open concept. I will say that for me, this fragrance, because it has a little bit more of a vanilla base with that pistachio, it's a little bit lighter. I would say that like first hour of burn time, but after the hour of burn time, this candle really starts to throw. Strength of this candle, I'm going to say the strength is anywhere between a 7 and an 8 for me. The projection is definitely an 8. It fills up the open concept living room, throws into the kitchen. But I want to say the strength is more so like a 7 because it's definitely noticeable. It's not smacking me in the face. It's not overwhelming. I did mention in my Kringle Pistachio Gelato review, spoiler alert if you missed that one, that is one of those candles where I feel like the candle fragrance is stronger than the actual throw of the candle. And sometimes when a candle is too strong for me, and in a case like that, when it's too strong, but it's not throwing as equally, I would say, it can be almost like headache inducing for me, and I don't find it as pleasant. So I will say that this fragrance for me, noticeable, definitely, like I'm not like sniffing the air being like, where is it? I definitely do smell it. But I will say that it took about 2.5 burns for it to consistently perform that way. The first 2.5 burns, I will say that it was much lighter. And so what I tend to do to still be able to maximize and enjoy the fragrance is that on those first 2 burns, a lot of the time with my caramel sundaes candles, I will burn them in my master bedroom because that has lower ceilings and is more closed concept. So that way I'm still enjoying the fragrance, but I wait a couple of burns until I place it out into the open concept living room to really, really be able to appreciate it more. So that is just my little tip. So If this candle ever comes back into stock, I do give it definitely 2 thumbs up. This is a fragrance that I actually would repurchase. For me, I feel like this is a really good replacement for another fragrance that I always loved in the month of January. If you happen to like Bath and Body Works Pistachio and Toasted Vanilla, it's not the same fragrance. Personally, I think this one's a little bit better, but it's in that same vein. It's kind of that creamy kind of pistachio nutty type of fragrance. It's done very, very well. And I could see this being a replacement of pistachio and toasted vanilla because we all know it's been very well documented here on my channel. I hope it turns around, but as of right now, I have been having some issues with Bath and Body Works candles of late. So I like having a clean alternative for for a similar fragrance family that I've enjoyed in the past. So the May restock for Caramel Sundays, like I said, this fragrance will not be available in it, but I did want to give you guys a little bit of a PSA. I will also remind you guys in my candle chat video this weekend, the May restock was initially supposed to be, I believe, May 18th, and it did get pushed back an additional week to May 25th. Sierra, one of the owners of Caramel Sundays, has been having some issues with her wrist, and so therefore it kind of had to slow down some of their production for their restock. So they did push it back a week, so it will be Sunday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I do plan to bring you guys my wish list and all of my tips and tricks video that will likely go up a couple of days before the restock. So let me know in the comment box down below if you've purchased this candle, what your burn experience has been with it, particularly if you got the 4-wick. I do know that the 3-wick candles, there were some burn issues across the board with different fragrances. So you feel free to chime in if you had some issues with that one, but just know that they have discontinued the 3-wicks because they were aware of some of the feedback that they were getting on that. But if you have it in a 4-wick, feel free to comment down below. Please hit thumbs up if you found this review helpful. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.